Hariom, everybody. As usual, it's a pleasure to connect with all of you. Today is our last day, and I'd like to place on record before we start the session that all of you have been so amazing. So, as usual, we will start our session with a big round of applause for ourselves. Yes, all of you, I know how difficult it is to take so much time out, 4 days. And another important thing that I wanted to share is that these books are so complete. Every facet of the personality is taken care of. So I request all of you to do justice to this and share this inspiration and empowerment to the next generation. So with that, we will start our session for today. I will just share my screen and then we can get into it. In just a minute. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, you're visible.
Okay. Yeah. So the four lessons that we are going to see today for grade 7 and grade 8 are the domain of spiritual development, lesson 9, guidebook for life, lesson 14 on Lord Mahavira. Grade 8, we're going to see lesson 4 from temporal to ethereal. I think it's one of the most beautiful lessons that I've ever seen. So beautiful. And class 8, lesson 17, faith bears fruit. Yeah, so let's go into it. The first lesson. So the main message for this lesson is guidebook for life, is that we need laws. Laws for humanity have always been there, and there are certain laws for pertaining our personal life, and then there are certain laws that pertain to our social life. So what are these in our scriptures? Let's see that. The objective for this is we are going to learn more about our Hindu scriptures, especially the Smritis. We are going to value and appreciate the treasure house of knowledge that we have, and then read more about the scriptures and abide by the laws therein. Right? Why do we need these laws? Like in Gurudev's book, Kindle Life, first chapter, he says there's a freedom and there's discipline. Now, just because I can buy a car and I can decide to drive the way I want, I will never reach my destination because everybody else is going to be doing that. So we need a certain kind of framework. And this framework has been set by people who've already attained the goals what we want to attain. Right? So the people who have written these or codified these laws also are people who've reached the other shore, who have known what are the problems that are going to come and how to walk the safest and the clearest path. So that is something that we really need to understand when we are talking about laws and about the Vedas and thing. And we'll have to learn to appreciate the great work that masters have put and how applicable it is even today. Why the problems are eternal, the solution is also eternal. So things might change, right? Outside things might change, but certain things always are going to be eternal, our problems as well as the solution. Yes, so moving on. So the story narrative. So as I said, laws are needed for any society to function effectively. So we have to make the students understand and tell the story from this viewpoint, right? To make life complete, to make life meaningful, there is a certain set. Just because I can eat everything, I have money, I can eat everything, it's going to affect my life, it's going to affect my health. So there is discipline and laws are needed in every field. So this is how we are going to teach the children, and how this worldview is affecting every day in our life. We need that. We need in every facet of our life. So we need to make the children understand that. Now, the story starts with a child and a grandfather talking amongst themselves, and they're talking about the Constitution of India. And the child wants to know, is there any other relevance? So that's when the grandfather starts talking about the Smritis. Right? Yesterday we have Shruti, Smriti, Itihasa, and Purana. So now we are talking about the second part, Smriti. What is the difference between a Shruti and a Smriti? Shruti is that which is heard. That means it comes from the ultimate. There are no authors for it. Smritis are written by the seers. People who have, there are authors for this. Right? So we need to be very clear between the difference between Shruti and Smriti. Yes. So now game time. I'm going to look into the chat box. Just name any Smriti that you know. There are 18 of them. You can name any that you know. I'll just stop sharing. Manu Smriti, yes. Manu Smriti is very famous, yes. Written by Manu, yes. I'm waiting for another answer. Only Manu has come. Okay, Narada. Oh, yes, we have Pratima ji is told Yagnavalkya, Parashara. Super. Okay. Okay, so there are 18. There is 3 Pulatsya. See, these were written according to the need of that time. Do you understand? So some laws are eternal, but some are being changed. So that's why there are different smritis. So we need to understand that. To the transactional, there can be changes. Just a minute, I will start my PowerPoint. Super. Okay, so moving on. So these are the activities that have been given in the book. As I said, they are book back exercises. We also have a beautiful teacher's handbook, which is very helpful. And the AVs for all lessons will also be ready, which are being done by the Oxford University Press, right? So now what we can make the child understand is there are so many customs and traditions that we've been doing, right? So find out whether there is a basis for why they are doing it, who wrote them, and ask them to compile neatly in an article. So now the children are grown up, so they can do much more because we're doing this for grade 7. So this is a good time to kindle their thinking. And the second activity is so beautiful. It's there in the book also. They to make a collage of the traditions and festivities using your imagination, right? This was made in the shape of India, where India is not just a geographical shape. We are all, the person who lives in Tamil Nadu thinks that the temple in Dwarka is also mine only, right? So we are all bound by the cultural identity also. And I found this picture very beautiful. So prepare your collage in a chart and display them in your class. This could be another activity. Now, habits to develop. If we can just make the people understand that this treasure trove of knowledge that we have, which deals with everything, right from the transactional to the transcendental, it's there for us for the taking, right? Suppose if I have my parents, if I have a problem, I come to my parents because my parents will give me a solution. Why? Because they have the experience. They have 40 years of experience living in this world. Now imagine if you can refer to the thousands of years of experience that we have, right? So that is what we need to make the children understand, right? All mothers are beautiful, but my mother is best for me. Same way,
Harsha,
all cultures are beautiful.
We can't hear you, Harsha.
Swamiji, now you can hear? Hello?
Yeah. Suddenly audio
Okay,
went off from
okay.
your side.
It's audible,
All
Swami.
Krishna only.
It's audible.
Okay. So we need to make the children understand that there's so much of experience, so much of
We
learning,
can't hear
and
you.
so much.
Harsha,
Is it
Swamiji,
only for you,
Shanti Amma,
Swamiji?
for you, it looks
I'm
like.
sorry, I can't hear Shanti Amma also.
Yeah, I'm able to hear
Okay.
her.
It's clear for you, no? Okay, fine. Thank you. Fine, sorry.
My others.
Fine, Amma, fine.
Can
Thank you.
anybody else confirm?
Yes.
It's clear. It's clear.
Thank you. Sorry.
Can you hear me? Premaji, can you hear me?
Yes, Harsha, it's
Okay, got it.
sorry.
Super. Okay. So now Bhagwan wants us to repeat again and again how important this knowledge is. Yes, so that's why he has made me repeat this 3 times. We have this treasure trove of knowledge. We have so much experience, right from medicine, right from archery, you name, there is Ayurveda, there's so much, everything is there in every field you want. There is so much of experience which has already been collected, right? So it is our duty to pass this on to the next generation. But I myself don't know how will I pass it. So first I learn and then I pass. So this is the awareness that we are trying to create through these lessons, right? So now Bhagavad Gita has this very unique position. It is called Shruti also, it is called Smriti also, right? And at certain places it is called Upanishad also, right? Because when we do the thing before the shlokas, we say that, you know, it is the essence, it's the milk of all the Upanishads. The Upanishads are cows and our Bhagavad Gita is the milk, it's the essence. So this is another very important Smriti, and you know how Gurudev and Bhagavad Gita are synonymous, isn't it? He has taught it across to all age groups. The knowledge in that is so beautiful. It deals with the transactional, and through the transactional, it can take you to the transcendental also. So this is a beautiful a scripture that Gurudev made it a household name. So thanks to him for that, because of which only all this is happening. Yes, so always we need to remember and live in gratitude. First lesson. Yes. So now moving on, the habits to develop. I respect my holy books. First thing is important. Like, I need to know what my books are and I respect them. And I try to practice and live the values. That's very, very important. All of us in all our schools, our Chinmaya schools, we have our Balvihar classes, we have study groups, we have special classes for teachers, right? We listen. It should not stop with listening. It should become application also. That's very, very important. Now, the habits that the children can develop, right? They can try to understand the spiritual significance behind all our practices. There is a science behind everything that we do. So once the child becomes empowered with that knowledge that we're not just doing this because my grandma said or my grandma's grandma said, but there is a deep significance behind it, the child is going to be very, very convinced, right? When I'll just give you a small example. I would refuse to touch anybody's feet. This was like 10, 15 years ago. You are the rebel, you know everything as usual, right? The pre-Vedanta days, let's call it. Why should I go touch anybody's feet? I'm not going to touch anybody's feet. I'm not less than anybody. You know how the mind works, right? When you don't have the right spiritual backing. And then when my teacher told me that when you're touching somebody's feet, you're not touching their feet, you're touching the ideal that they stand for. That's why for Guru, we do the Paduka Puja also, because he stands on truth. So once I knew that, when next time when I touch somebody's feet, it is with faith and reverence. So that has become mine now. Till then, it was always some other knowledge. When you are made to understand, then it becomes much more easier and much more peaceful to do, right? So inquire more about the ancient knowledge givers. As I said, the reference book is so beautiful, Awakening Indians to Awaken India. That's a very good reference book. All you teachers can check it out. Then some of the Vedic sciences have great relevance in modern times too. We've seen the other lessons also. There is a lesson on Vastu Shastra and how temples are built, right? So many different things which are very, very relevant even today, right? We build a building 15, 20 years, it doesn't come, but you see temples which are there for thousands of years, isn't it? With much more basic materials than what we are using. So we can request the children to go more and look into it, that they have great relevance. Please try and draw out the similarities. So that is another beautiful thing we can ask the child. All these we are developing so that he gets into the habit of respecting their own knowledge systems. Yes. Then the assessment. What duties and obligations pertaining to the phase and roles in life as a student or a son or a daughter or a friend and so on does the child follow, right? This is my duty. What are they doing? Then explain the significance behind different customs and rituals. This you please ask the child to tell. So this is going to be the assessment for this lesson. So with this, we are done and we are moving to our second lesson for the day, lesson 14, Lord Mahavira. So Lord Mahavira was called Vardhamana in his Purva Ashrama and he belonged to the Ikshvaku dynasty. Anybody, any other kings that you know from the Ikshvaku dynasty? Chat box, please. Ikshvaku dynasty, all of you would have heard. Very famous. Answers now. Now the feed will be Rama, 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 Rama. That like becomes Japa now when you guys start writing Dilipa. Beautiful. Yes. Okay. Krishna. Yeah. So the specifics are given about Jainism. I'm not going too much into that. They are given in the book. So what the central essential vision is to know and learn about the life of the Jain Guru, Mahavira. Be inspired by values from Mahavira's life and adapt and practice few of these values. This is what we are going. This is going to be the main message is. Main message of Jainism is to have the right faith, right knowledge, right conduct, right? So all these information is already there in the book. So everything that I have taken is from the textbook and book back exercises and the teacher's handbook, right? So the narrative is we have to keep it simple living, high thinking. His whole life emulated that, right? How by simple living and high thinking, you can reach the highest, right? So for this, we have to teach children that sometimes certain discomforts are okay. We are used to being in a set kind of way, and it's difficult to break those. So comfort is actually keeping us a prisoner. We think that is, we need so many things to be happy. So for class arrangement, what we can do for this is you can ask the children to sit in a group and listen to the class. Yes, so they can sit down on the floor nicely, and then the teacher can tell the, go ahead with the story. A picture of Mahavira is highly appreciated. Yes, so these are the 5, he taught the 5 Mahavratas. The same is there in yoga also. So we need to understand it is an offshoot of Hinduism only, right? So first is Satya. If you are not truthful, there is going to be dichotomy in your personality. If you're not true to yourself, you're not true to others, right? So that is important. Non-violence. Non-violence, again, how much less I can hurt somebody. If I hurt somebody, I can never be happy, right? Non-stealing. Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya, again, is to follow the path of moderation. If and then 5th is aparigraha. This is one of the most beautiful things I've heard. It's called, here is given a simple living, but it is also non-hoarding. It's very interesting. I eat how much I want. I drink how much I want. I surround myself with things how much I want, not more than that, right? Only for my need, not for my greed. Can you imagine what a beautiful way of living that is? As I said, this have been given in yoga also as the yamas. Yeah, so moving on. So what are the festivals that Jains celebrate? One is Mahavir Jayanti. The second is Diwali. The Mahavir Jayanti is a very beautiful thing where they fast for a whole week or 10 days before. And I have a lot of friends, suddenly one day we'll get Michchami Dukkadam, right? So please pardon me for my mistakes. So that's a very beautiful thing where you are reminding that knowing or unknowingly, if you've done any mistake, please forgive me for that. Where have you heard this, where we do this? Every day night before going to sleep, we say, Karacharana Kritam Vak. Yes, anything what I've done by mistake without me knowing, please forgive me for that. So moving on. So now the activity is given, very interesting activities here. So please, I would request all of you to pay attention because the next game is based on this. Yes. So how, he says, minimum comforts for 1 day in a month. Right? We are starting with just 1 day in a month. We're not saying the whole month, right? Because whole month sounds daunting. 1 day is doable. Let me try, right? So what are the examples that I've given here? Sleep on the floor with just a bed sheet. No, if I have my pillow only, I can sleep. Yes. Wake up in the morning at 4 a.m. Eat sattvic food such as fruits and veggies. Include no spice. Just have rice or roti once a day. This is just for a day to start with, right? Travel by public means of transport or walk. Keep your phone and other gadgets away. Control your speech. This is the most difficult. Speak without anger, jealousy, and pride. Stay in a natural environment. Turn off the air conditioner for a day. Yeah, especially in Chennai with 44 degrees. If you can do this for a day, it's a good challenge for us. Yes. Stop buying new clothes for a year. Continue adding to the list. So now the game is very simple. The chat box is open. Out of this, you please tell me which is the easiest to do and which is the most difficult for each one of you, right? You just say easy and you write what is easy, and difficult, what is difficult. Sattvic food is easy. Someone is saying sleeping on the floor is easy. Control of speech, most difficult. Easy to shop once in a year, Chetraji or my friend, yes. Okay, stay easy, vegetable. Super. Eating sattvic food and sleeping on the floor is easy, right? So for some of you, some things are easy. For some of you, the other things are easy, right? So let's start with one difficult one. And how did the other one become easy? Because you've already been practicing it, right? So day one is always very difficult. But after that, it becomes easy, natural. Why? Because you've been practicing. So people who've been telling that eating sattvic food is easy, you've been eating that for so long. That's why it's easy for you. When you started, imagine eating without spice, without too much masala, how difficult it is to eat. I think everybody is telling living without phone is the most difficult. We can actually, once you forget it, no, you will forget it. It's just that starting it's difficult, that first half an hour, 45 minutes, because we are so tuned to always looking into the phone. Yeah, okay, moving on. Thank you. Yes. So all these activities, as I said beforehand, they are there in the book back. So you can look at it. And he attained enlightenment after 12 years. Then these are different, another activity that has been given, where if you had to gain a higher knowledge, what would you do? What knowledge would you pursue if you had to sacrifice your comfort? So that's another great conversation that you can have with the children also, right? We've finished the game already. So this is another activity. Since we have lack of time, we will move ahead with that. Students can also role play on the life of Mahavira. This is another beautiful thing that the children can take up. So the habits. First, I need to develop the habit of reading autobiography of spiritual leaders, right? All these things look so difficult. I don't think anybody can practice. This will be the first thing that runs in our mind. So when we are trying to read other people's life stories, when we see that these were done beautifully, these were done well, then it inspires us also. What comes naturally to the master becomes sadhana for us, right? We will try to achieve that. We will strive towards it, right? And as I said, in every lesson, I will keep telling this, please try and emulate the values that they're living. Don't imitate, emulate. Try to make them part of your life. That's when you will see the beauty of life unfold. Students, we can make them, go to places where these people have been. You can get into the habit of going wherever nearby. Everywhere you will see spiritual leaders in every state. There are so many of them who are there. You can probably try going and visiting and to know more about that place. Yes. And then try to emulate the values. Same thing, right? For both students and teachers. Krishna. Yes. So this is a beautiful assessment that is there, right? This makes them think. So you ask the children, what is the principle that they wish to adopt in their life? So here there are examples that have been given, so which you can refer, but encourage the children to do independent thinking. The way they intend to reach out to people, that's again very important. And the ways they plan to serve the world, because this whole world is running and going to going to the ruins because of this me concept. I should be happy. I should be taken care of. Whole world can go, anything can happen. I don't care, right? So from day one, if we're going to make the child think how they're going to give back to society, right? I am not just an island, I am connected. So that way, how are they going to serve the world? So this way we are making them more aware. We are making them more empathy comes in. Yes. So how are they, again, as I said, the examples have been given. So please encourage them. Now moving on to class 8. So class 8 has 2 lessons. So this is a beautiful lesson where it's called From Temporal to Ethereal, where we see how the beauty of Sanatan Dharma comes in, where we worship Bhagwan in different ways. So the objective of this lesson is going to be to understand that there is only one power. We worship differently in different dimensions, right? Here we are going to see 3 different dimensions of how we worship Bhagwan. To feel the presence of Bhagwan in form, without form, and beyond all forms, right? The beauty is we can worship Bhagwan in any ways, always, right? Yeah. Then to learn about the symbolisms behind the forms of God. So this is going to be an important lesson in that. Main message is wherever you go, right? If somebody wants to attack our Sanatan Dharma, they'll say, you are idol worshipper, right? So a lot of times people are not able to understand, right? Why are you worshipping a stone? Why are you worshipping something that you got from the river, right? So this lesson beautifully makes us understand the theme behind it. As Gurudev says, it is not the idol, but it is the ideal behind the idol. He gives a beautiful example. He says, like, there is a piece of, there's a photograph which you keep in your purse all the time of your child. Now your child can't fit inside the wallet, right? But when you see the picture, you're reminded of your child. Same way, when we see in form, we are reminded of the ideal, which is beyond all forms, right? So we will see more on that. The story narrative I've already explained. So for class arrangement, this has some very two interesting activities, for which the first activity, you'll have to get a lot of chocolates for the children, if possible. Yes, they can do the candy experiment. And the second is they are going to have clay modeling, where we're going to give them clay and they can come up with their own form, whichever they want to make, and a bucket for their Visarjan, right? So these are the two things that we need for the class arrangement. I don't put it in the class arrangement, but I have seen in all schools of Chinmaya, in all classes, Gurudev's picture is always there. And most of the places, they light a small lamp also. So I am not putting that because that's default. Yes, Krishna. Pictures from the textbook can be shown as an audiovisual also. It's very interesting. And as I said, the animation is also going to be available. So here, I have taken one example. They have given the example of Bhagwan Vishnu also in the book. You can look into that. So now here we see Bhagwan Shiva with the form. They are talking about this place where Paul goes to a temple. The story goes like that. It's a conversation between friends. And he goes to the temple of Bhagwan Shiva in Chidambaram, which is part of Panchabhuta Sthalas in Tamil Nadu. Panchabhuta Sthalas are where Bhagwan Shiva is worshipped in the form of 5 elements. So here the element in which he is worshipped is space. And that place is called Chidambara Ragasyam, which is the secret of Chidambara, right? So here he is depicted with the form as Lord Nataraja, and then formless as Chandramaulishwara. And then third is where he is depicted as space. So same Bhagwan, 3 different things, right? One in a specific form. Here, the linga doesn't have a special form or anything. There is no hands, legs, face, nothing, right? So that, and then in the third form, beyond forms, as the space here. Can you see there are certain things that are hanging? That's just to denote space. Super. So now how do I explain this to children? Right? It's difficult to explain it to children. It's very beautifully explained. First, the same water can exist in different dimensions, can exist in different ways, right? So first, as an ice block, water has a specific form. Lord Nataraja, right? As water, it is formless. You can take it as linga. For Bhagwan Vishnu, Shaligrama we pray, right? Yet it is seen. But as water vapor, beyond all forms. Right? This place, where is space? Space is there everywhere. Right? Beyond the earth also, everywhere space is there. So we are worshipping him as space also. We worship the supreme consciousness, which is beyond space. So different ways we connect. That's we need to make children understand that. So how? This is again taken from our textbook. We worship everyone and everything as Bhagwan's form. Yet we can go to a temple and offer prayers to an idol, a Shivlinga or a Shaligrama, and then again sit in meditation, contemplating on the ultimate state of Bhagwan, who's beyond all forms. Isn't it amazing? Have you seen this in any other culture? Yeah. So now this is again very beautifully and very simply explained with the help of a candy. That's why I said you take candy and go. Candy, when you see the candy, it has a form, right? When you put it in your mouth, it melts. So it becomes formless, but you taste the candy, right? Once the candy goes inside, it is within you. So the form has disappeared, the taste has disappeared, but it is within you. So that is beyond form. We do this exercise with the help of an ice cream. So candy is much more doable because it's in class. Yes, so it's beautiful, simple, easy, practical to understand. Yes. So second thing, another the same subtle concept which we did from form to formless yesterday, right, is again explained here with the help of Lord Ganesha and the Visarjan. Also, we have Devi Puja when we do Visarjan. The concept is the same for both, right? So students can be provided with some clay and they can in turn make any shape of their size. Shape whatever they want. And they should decorate it and they should talk about its attributes, right? Then different shapes, you put them back in the tub. and you explain about this formless, and now ask the children that the shape is gone, but do you still remember it in your mind, right? What are the attributes that you remember? So there is no form now, nothing, but you still remember. Yes, so that is another interesting activity that we can do. Our ancestors were so beautiful, so amazing. They've done through Ganesh Chaturthi, through Devi Puja, Visarjan. We are constantly reminded everything. Morning we get up, we do Karagre. So every minute our awareness is brought back to us. So that is so amazing. Then Gurudev's BMI chart is always talking about how we have the equipment, but we are beyond the equipment. Like he used to explain the most difficult concepts of Vedanta so easily with the help of that BMI chart. And always on top is Om, right? Which is beyond all forms, beyond all qualities, beyond everything. So, and Gurudev always saw everybody beyond all names and forms. For him, everybody was one. And that is what we have learned all through these generations, whoever has been in touch with Gurudev through his teachings, through his talks, right? To look beyond the names and forms. So that is again beautiful. So now coming to the assessment. Now, what do I do the assessment? We can come up with some very interesting ways to check children's knowledge on this. You can ask them to submit a project on different and unique ways of worship across India. Now, just think how much we can do if they come up with this project, right? Different places. There are places in Rajasthan where they worship rats, right? So many different ways of worship. So we can give the children a project where they can come up with it. Then you can also assess them on their understanding of the form, formless, and beyond forms, right? And then let the student write a short note with their own example to explain what the ideal behind the idol. We need to be clear about that. There is a very famous anecdote of Swami Vivekananda, which explains this ideal behind the idol. So all of you, if you have time, please go check it out on Google. So now we will move on to our habits to develop, right? So greet others with Namaste and Hari Om. That's always a standard because we are a Chinmaya Vidyalaya. Yes, practicing and accepting all forms of God as the one supreme power. Now the beauty is, you take anything and Sanatana Dharma has divinized it. Just think. You say stone, we've made it our the highest, right? We made it Shivalinga, we made it Shaligramam, right? You say plant, we worship plants, we worship the neem tree, we worship Tulsi Ma, right? Animals, we worship, you've seen, right? Different faces of Bhagwans, we have given animals, and humans, we worship. Everything, rivers, we worship. Mountains, we worship. Everything has been divinized because it is only one. So we need to understand, and we need to first accept, imbibe, and then pass this to the students also, because the whole world is so busy trying to separate us on differences. Sanatana Dharma teaches us to see oneness. When you see oneness, then you know how to live peacefully, right? So then for the students, the activity that we can do, teachers obviously visit various temples and see how differently the worship is being done. You can take the children also if you want, right? Student encourage the child to perform all kinds of worship, such as towards plants, waters, and idols, to recognize that God is in all forms and beyond all forms, right? Same thing when a puja is happening at home, right? All of you, if you just check your own altars, you will see how many gods you've kept there, isn't it? Think about it. You have only one Bhagwan. Generally, Ishta Devata is one, but in a family, if you are 4 or 6 or 8, then all 6 or 8 of them have their own Devatas, right? So the altar is always full of Bhagwan, but Bhagwan is one, isn't it? So we need to make the children also understand and to pay attention to different forms of God. Why? Because power is one, different facets, different powers are invoked through different forms. We need to understand that and make the children also question more on that, right? So these are the habits. So what do? We see all in one and one in all. So these are pictures that have been taken from the value education book. Beautiful animation, beautiful pictures. So I'm sure the children will connect. Yes, and now for our last lesson of the day, the most important thing, faith. Faith bears fruit. So the story, the lesson starts with how Lord Rama comes to meet Shabri on the way, right? When during his exile. Now Shabri from a young age has been waiting for Bhagwan Ram. In the Matanga Muni's ashram, she has been waiting. The Guru has told Lord Rama will come. And she has faith in her Guru's word. As a young woman, she starts. By the time Bhagwan Rama comes, she becomes old age, but that faith never wavers. So the story starts, the lesson starts with that story, and then we move on to the essence of the lesson. Yeah. So the objective for this lesson would be to understand the meaning of faith and its relevance, to appreciate the fact that faith can achieve things which are considered impossible, right? Humans walking on two legs was considered impossible, but it's possible. Everything is possible with faith. So you can see how many instances are there where it looks impossible, but it's done because you had faith, right? So you have to start appreciating that fact. Then develop faith in God, Guru, and the scriptures. Now, faith is an English word. It doesn't do justice to the beautiful Sanskrit word that is there. It's called Shraddha, right? Faith is, we are out of words to use, and there is no equivalent of Shraddha. So the nearest we use is faith, right? So Shraddha is beautiful. Shrat stands for truth, and Dha stands for that which holds. So that which holds the truth is Shraddha. So that was a beautiful word. So the main message is how we can develop faith in ourselves, in our scriptures, in the Guru and Bhagwan, right? So the story narrative, without faith, nothing is possible. Faith is needed for us to evolve. The class arrangement would be, this is very interesting. We can do this as an audio visual also, where you take the pictures of Bhagwan and their most famous devotees. So that way, instantly, the children will also connect. So this has been taken from the textbook. So I thought we'll just go into the essence. So what is the difference between faith and belief, right? Faith is defined as a belief with a strong conviction, right? Faith has the power to make the impossible possible. Another important thing we need to understand is faith is always about the unknown, right? I like the example that has been given here. Right? For example, you know for sure that you have a nose on your face and hair upon your head, right? For that, you don't need faith. So faith is always about the unknown. But we need to understand when we're speaking about the unknown, it's not that there is no place for blind faith in Sanatan Dharma. It is only faith pending discovery. This is how Gurudev puts it. It's only faith pending discovery. So you start walking, the path gets clearer. But to take that first step, you need faith. Right? So this is the topic. So again, it's given in a very simple, easy formula, right? What I believe plus strong understanding, which is backed by logic and reasoning, is called faith, right? In Hinduism, as I said, it's only faith pending experience. Yes, so this is another beautiful thing which is there. What happens? What does faith help us do? Imagine if you don't have faith, you won't get up and walk to the door also. Oh, what if something happens? You'll never walk on the road. You might not come back, right? So everything beautifully works on faith. How does it work with scriptures? It enables us to listen with an open mind. If my mind is already full and I don't have faith in what you're saying, I'm not going to listen. Right? So it enables us to listen with an open mind. It encourages reflection, right? People have walked this path before. They know this, they know the pitfalls, they know the problems. They are trying to help me. Let me listen with faith, right? It helps strengthen the mind through inquiry. And finally, it ends in knowledge. We've seen beautifully, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Without Shraddha, we can never get, right? So Moving on. Yes, another important thing we need to understand here is the importance of a guru. How much ever we speak, it is going to be less. We have all seen how this Guru Shishya Parampara is been taking care of this knowledge and passing it down from generation to generation. Our Gurudev also went and studied with a guru, our Gurudev Swami Shivanandaji and Swami Tapovanji Maharaj, and then he has passed this lineage down beautifully. So this knowledge has been preserved because of this Guru Shishya lineage, and faith bears a very, very important part in this chain, right? It's being passed down. So it's very important, because unless and until a guru tells you, you don't even know this kind of knowledge is there. It always has to be pointed out. If you can get it from books, as Gurudev said, everything is there in, somebody came and asked Puja Gurudev, everything is there in books. Why should we read this? I said, this doubt also you ask the book only. For that you need a guru, you need a teacher. And all of you are teachers and mentors to the beautiful children who are coming to your class. So you are also part of the lineage where you're passing this beautiful knowledge, right? Then moving on to habits, we've spoken. Gurudev was the epitome of faith. Every second word you hear, when you hear him talking, if you've heard the thing, it'll always be Narayana, Narayana. If you read Gurudev's Gita also, Narayana takes care. It's only Narayana. Everywhere you can see him refer to the higher all the time. Yes. So that faith, it's his faith which is rubbed off on all of us, and we have the faith that we're going to walk the path that Gurudev has shown us. Next. First, I need to develop faith in myself and then in others also. And we have to remember to connect to the higher in all situations. This is one thing that we see, I believe, but till there is a problem, I will not think of Bhagwan, right? A beautiful doha of Kabir comes to mind, where he says, Dukh mein sumiran sab kare, sukh mein kare na koi. Jo sukh mein sumiran kare, to dukh kahe ko hoye. Right? All of us want to think of Bhagwan not during the happy times, when we are feeling, when we have a problem or in distress only. But if you keep thinking of Bhagwan all the time, where is there going to be distress? Then it is only just a situation that you have to handle. It's not that the problem is going to go away. But because you're always thinking of him, this experience is also coming to me. So I learn, I evolve. Beautiful. So dukh kahe ko hoy. Think. Right? So we have to learn to connect to the higher all the time, right? And Gurudev has told it beautifully, keep connected, right? Detach and attach. For him, just 3 words are enough for us. Yes, so then moving on. For the student, they should learn to have faith in themselves, in the words of the teacher, our scriptures and Bhagwan, right? So it is Atma Kripa, Guru Kripa, Shastra Kripa, Bhagwan Kripa, Ishwara Kripa. Yes. So it's important to remember Bhagwan in both good and bad times, because they are relative. They come and go. So it's not good also doesn't stay, bad also doesn't stay, but Bhagwan stays. Right. So connect to that which is not which is changing, but to the changeless. Simple. Yes. Then the assessment is beautiful. Find instances where faith has helped others achieve their goal, where it looked impossible, but they did it. So when you see this, you get faith that, okay, it's possible. Yes. So difference between faith and belief, we would have already explained that in the lesson. They will have to elucidate it with examples. Please encourage them to come up with their own examples. And another very interesting thing is where there is research, and it's given in the textbook also, where most of the illnesses are psychosomatic, right? So just faith that I'm going to get better, you will get better, right? Even when they're in studies, they give some people the real medicine, they give some people the placebo. And there were so many studies which have showed people on placebo have also healed. Why? Because it's a strong faith. The body can heal itself. So this was another interesting topic where children can do more research and get back to you on that. So these are the 3 projects that they can take up for their assessment. Yes. So are we clear till here? Thank you. Hari Om. So I finished with 1 minute to spare. Thank you so much. I'll stop sharing now.
Thank you.
Krishnarpanam.
Thank you, Harshaji. Thank you so much. It's a long 4-day program and preparing so much, going through the lessons and preparing activities and preparing assessments. It's just amazing work done by all of you. I'm so thankful to you. I think all the teachers need to give a big round of applause to Harsha for doing it so effectively and wonderfully. Who else can handle this session better than Varsha? If Gurudev says Narayana, Narayana, our Harsha ma'am says Krishna, Krishna. All the time she says Krishna, Krishna. You very much beautifully fitted into this component of CVP. Thank you so much, Harshaji. It was wonderful having you amidst us. Thank you. You can see the book has got so much of scope. If dealt well, it will really make a very big difference to our children. That was the very purpose of doing this workshop, is to give an insight into the book, because sometimes there is a lot of, when they conceptualize the book, authors do a lot of work and then, a lot of have ideas in their mind. But how do the teacher in the classroom, you are the one who is going to give it to the children. So that is why this workshop, though it has been a strenuous one, but I'm sure it must have been a great exercise for all of you to get to understand the whole thing. Thank you all so much.